Straight to our top story that we are tracking since early morning. In fact, encounter between the security forces and the terrorists in Pathankot is still on. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is personally monitoring the situation. 2 soldiers of the Defence Service Corps have been martyred, while 2 terrorists have been eliminated by the security forces. 6 Indian Air Force personnel have also been injured in this encounter. Choppers have been pressed into action. Sources have told India Today the terrorists involved in the attack are the same who abducted Gurdaspur SP yesterday. 4 terrorists reportedly entered the Air Force station at 3 a.m. The encounter started at around 4 in the morning. Intense firing is going on between the security personnel and the terrorists. Remember, a red alert was in fact issued after Gurdaspur Superintendent of Police Salvinder Singh revealed he was abducted by terrorists. Let me go across to Strategic Affairs editor Gaurav Sawant, who is live with us from the newsroom. Gaurav, National Security Advisor himself, in fact, monitoring the situation. This is also some breaking news coming in that the NSG team has also been deployed. Bring us up to speed with the latest.
The latest that we have at this stage, Ankit, is that the brigade commander of Pathankot, he is the chief coordinator of the counter-terror operations. As of now, even as we speak, the Army Special Forces, they've taken over the operations. The Army Special Forces are there. There was a very specific terror alert to the Pathankot Airbase, that the Pathankot Airbase is expected to be attacked in the next 48 hours. And that is why there were 2 army teams that were on standby. These army teams swung into action immediately. What we are being told now is that they are the ones who are, as of now, engaging these terrorists, and they succeeded in isolating these terrorists and ensuring that they do not breach the security cordon and enter the technical area. Now, the terrorists entered firing, lobbing grenades and attacking the DSC, the Defence Service Corps personnel, where we had 2 fatal casualties on the security forces side. The security forces immediately engaged these terrorists. 2 terrorists were killed. Then the terrorists split into 2 groups. What we are now being told is that the commandos are engaging them. They've been isolated. Where they've been isolated, they apparently also do not have access to much ammunition. But it's the loss of civilian life in this area, that is feared. And that is why security forces are moving forward with utmost caution. Ankit.
Gaurav, just take us through the style of this attack. In Gurdaspur last year, a similar sort of audacious attack took place. These terrorists, you also told me earlier, are firing with military discipline.
Spot on there, Ankit. Very similar, as you rightly pointed out, to Gurdaspur from the word go, from the point from where they've apparently crossed the line of the international border, somewhere along the IB sector. That is still not clear, but that is what intelligence sources are now indicating. They crossed over. Like in Gurdaspur, they took over civilian vehicles, and this time they took over the vehicle of the Superintendent of Police of Gurdaspur. They did not use weapons to kill his driver, in the sense they did not use rifles, but they used a knife so that it would look like a crime and not a terror attack. There was still specific intelligence that these terrorists would be striking. One input also seemed to indicate that it would be the Pathankot Airbase that they will strike, and that is why the army was in place. These terrorists moved in hurling grenades. They've moved into the airbase. Now the aim is to ensure they can get neutralized as quickly as possible. But you're spot on, very similar to the Gurdaspur strikes. But whether Pakistan, which terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed, all of that will become clearer when this military operation is over and the forensics and the police take over the investigations. Because even in Gurdaspur, as you'd well recall, Ankit, there were GPS devices that were found that indicated where these terrorists left, how they crossed the IB, where they entered. That's point 1. And also the night vision device was of a US make, which was in Afghanistan, taken over by these terrorists and then used here. So there were ample indications in Gurdaspur that there were Pakistani terrorists. Similarly in Udhampur. In this case, there's still some time before we know for sure.
Gaurav, a very important point that Manjeet also raised was that there have been some former or present security personnel, those who have been arrested in the recent times from Punjab, from other places, for spying for ISI, and for an operation of this scale, there of course needs surveillance recce. Do you believe that, all these things could be related, a preparation of sorts for such terror attack?
Spot on there. If you join the dots, that's exactly what appears to have happened. And the fact that the government went public with these arrests, some were taking place. Look, the recent arrest of Ranjit KK, the lead aircraft man in Bhatinda, that's arrest number 1. There were 2 arrests that took place in Rajasthan, 1 in Uttar Pradesh, 1 in Andhra Pradesh. So a series of attacks of defense personnel below officer rank who were allegedly supplying information to their handlers in Pakistan. All of this information, what kind of security detail at air bases, what kind of aircraft at air bases, what are SOPs at air bases. Some of this information was gleaned in, initially taken by the handlers pretending to be journalists, and then once the assets were compromised, they gave information, and that appears to have happened in this case.